Yet again, the Instagram algorithm has had a major update, and so in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 of the latest Instagram features that are actually going to matter and make a difference for you as you're trying to grow your personal brand or small business on Instagram. Let's not waste any time, let's jump right into things. The first new announcement isn't necessarily a new feature that Instagram released, but rather a new direction that Instagram is headed, or I guess you could say a clarity that we finally have on where Instagram is headed. And this comes directly from the head of Instagram himself. He posted a very raw but yet thorough, comprehensive brain dump on his Instagram, kind of just talking through how he views AI and the future of Instagram and authenticity and professional content, video editing, and growing your platform. And it's very, very thorough, and it's quite long. So if you haven't already checked it out, I will link it up down in the show notes below so that you can read through this full carousel that Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, posted. But again, really, really in-depth, really thorough. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but one of my big takeaways from it is that he believes, and I agree, that AI content is not going anywhere anytime soon. And very soon, it's going to be indistinguishable from everything else. Like AI content versus real content, non-AI content, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. And I would be willing to bet that you have already fallen for an AI video. I bet there's already been a video that's come across your feed, whether you realize it or not, that was AI and you didn't realize it. And so one of the things that he talked about in this carousel, something that I talked about in my 2026 predictions video, which I highly recommend you go and check out if you haven't already, is that authenticity is going to become a premium. People are going to hunt for, search for, and crave authentic creators. Now, authenticity is one of those buzzwords that us social media coaches love to throw around, and then usually the tip is like, just be yourself, just be you. Here's a practical way that you can be more authentic on social media. Reduce the time between idea and execution. Between the moment where you're like, hey, I have this thing I want to talk about, I have this story I want to tell, I have this tip that I want to give, and actually pressing post. That means eliminate the steps in between, eliminate the editing process so that it's FaceTime content. It's just you talking to the camera with no cuts, no edits, no B-roll. Eliminate the script writing process. Eliminate the step in your process where you go to AI and you have it refined what you were going to say. Eliminate all of these little checks and bumps, these moments where you're going to overthink, where you're going to filter, where you're going to refine, and ultimately where you're going to become less authentic. Instead, get faster, become more efficient, and reduce the time between idea and execution. And that's how you'll actually be more authentic. That's how you'll actually get more views. And most importantly, that's how you'll actually build trust in 2026 and onward. And trust, which already has become so key for purchasing decisions. When people are deciding whether or not to become customers, trust is at an all-time high because the last 5-6 years, we've all been asking the question, who can I trust? Where can I get my information from? What news outlets are going to tell me the truth? What story is accurate? But now we had an added layer on top of that, which is artificial intelligence. So not only could I be getting information from a source that I don't trust, the source itself could literally be non-human. And so trust is only going to become that much more paramount for people in deciding who to follow, who to engage with, and who to become a customer of. So embrace authenticity. That's tip number one. The second new piece of Instagram news is super exciting, and that is that we can now, for the first time ever, put clickable links in our reels. Hallelujah, but there's a catch. There's a few catches, actually. Catch number one is you can't do this in Instagram. You can only achieve this feature. You can only use this feature if you are using the Edits app, which for those of you who don't know, that is the editing app that Instagram released. It's kind of like their competitor of CapCut, and I will say it's actually pretty good. The first couple of months of Edits was rough, but it has significantly improved since then, and I actually really enjoy it to the point where when I'm editing my content on mobile, I use the Edits app. Most of the time I still edit on CapCut and on desktop, but when I'm editing on mobile, I use the Edits app. But again, that's catch number one is you have to use the Edits app. Catch number two, and this is the much bigger catch, is you can't link anything. You can't put a link to your website, your YouTube, your blog, whatever. You can only put a link to two things. The first thing that you can link to is Instagram profiles. You can link to someone else's Instagram profile. So let's say you were shouting someone out, you were talking about another creator, maybe you were collabing with someone. You could put a link or a clickable button, I should say, to their profile somewhere on your reel. And then the second thing that you are allowed to link to is Reels. Now, you can link to your own reels or someone else's reels. And when you link to a reel, it actually creates a little embedded video player within your own reel. All you have to do to use the link a reel feature is, of course, number one, open the Edits app, like I already said, start a new project, and then when you are creating your reel, just tap on that Instagram logo down in the center, and then again, you'll have the two options to choose between, profile or reel, and then within each of those, there are different navigation settings to help you find what you're looking for. You can either copy and paste the link to the profile or to the reel, or if you're going through the reels navigation, you can actually sort through every reel that you have previously posted and reels that you have previously saved. So you could create an entire saved folder of reels that you plan on embedding in your future reels. There's some really creative ways that I've already seen people using this feature. One creator I saw put 4 of their past reels on the screen at one time, and they were like, hey, believe it or not, there are 4 reels on the screen right now. You can click on any of them to watch. I think another really creative way to use this feature is to highlight the reels that you're doing in a series. So if you're like, hey, this was day 4, if you want to watch day 3, click right here. And you can click and immediately it'll take them right into the previous reel or whatever it is that you want to link them to. So it's quite similar to how on YouTube at the end of the video, there's oftentimes like clickable other recommended videos on the screen. You can basically now do that on Instagram. Fingers crossed that someday in the future we'll be able to add any clickable links to our reels, but this is a huge step forward and something that we've never been able to do before. Instagram algorithm update number 3 is one that people always overlook and they always yawn when I talk about it, but I think it's actually really, really big. And that is that Instagram has added 5 new languages, bringing us to a total of 9 total languages that your reels can not just be automatically translated to, but automatically dubbed and lip matched. What that means is not only will your closed captions be in a different language, but Instagram can automatically take your voice and use AI to make it sound like you and your voice were speaking that other language, and it will even detect where your mouth is and do some crazy AI magic to make it look like your lips were actually speaking those words. The 5 new languages that Instagram just added are all different languages that are quite popular in India, and that makes sense because India represents the largest group of people who uses Instagram. There are more people in India who use Instagram than any other country in the world. The 4 languages that were previously available for auto translation and dubbing were English, Spanish, Hindi, and Portuguese, and the 5 new languages are listed on the screen, and I'm not going to read them off because I have an American education, which means I'm probably going to mispronounce these, and you guys are going to make fun of me for that, so I'm just going to put them on the screen. The 4th major piece of algorithm news, and this comes also directly from the head of Instagram himself, is that you will not be punished. Your views will not be suppressed. You will not get less reach if you are using a third-party editing app. That means that you are free to use CapCut, you're free to use iMovie, you're free to use InShot, you're free to film your content on literal rolls of film and cut it up with actual scissors and then upload it to Instagram. No matter where you edit your content, you will not be punished. That is directly from Instagram's head himself, Adam Mosseri. Now, with that being said, there is some conflicting news about the Edits app. When the Edits app was first announced, he said, no, we will not give preferential treatment to reels that are created with the Edits app. We will not boost or push the reels that were made with edits. But then, a few months later, he said something on his stories which kind of caught a lot of people off guard. He said, we have noticed that people who use the Edits app are getting slightly more reach, which is confusing because like we've noticed, you literally run the algorithm. So like, what do you mean you've noticed? Either the algorithm is pushing out those reels or it's not. The way I make sense of all of this is that when the Edits app first released, you might remember there was a little badge that some people would get on their reel when they edited their reel in the Edits app. And the badge said like made with edits. And it was like this big, shiny, colorful badge that went on your reels. And I believe that for those first few months, because people had that badge, it was slightly, ever so slightly increasing engagement, or if nothing else, increasing watch time, because people were like, oh, what's that badge? They would glance at it, and even if they were only looking at it for half a second, that was adding an extra half a second to every single person who posted through the Edits app. And so that was inadvertently leading to a slight increase in reach. Now, I wouldn't put it past Instagram. I wouldn't put it past Meta to inflate the numbers and, boost and push out the content that was edited in the Edits app. But to the best of my knowledge, from all of the studies we've done, I've actually posted a few episodes in the past about some of these studies, there seems to be no difference. Whether you edit in Edits or CapCut or iMovie, whatever, it doesn't really make a significant difference. So if it gives you peace of mind, if it helps you sleep at night to post through the Edits app, knock your socks off. If you hate the Edits app and you just love using CapCut, go ahead and keep doing that. You should be fine. The one asterisk that I will put on all of this is just make sure that you do not have a watermark or a logo on your content. That is something that Instagram has said for years will downrank you. The algorithm will see that logo and basically it looks at it as something that is not favorable, something that they don't want on Instagram. And so they will downrank you and you will get less views if you have some sort of watermark or floating logo on your video. Algorithm update number 5 comes again directly from the head of Instagram himself, and that is that they're working on the ability to schedule trial reels. Scheduling trial reels has been something that many of us have been asking for since day one, because trial reels are a game changer. Trial reels are a great way, arguably the best way, to reach non-followers. I've done multiple episodes on this channel in the past about trial reels, which I highly recommend going and watching if you have no idea what a trial reel is. But Adam Mosseri said that they are going to begin working on the ability to schedule trial reels. But that's not an update in and of itself, because there's already a way to do this. Unfortunately, there's no way to do it within Instagram. You're going to need a third-party tool. The third-party tool that you can use to achieve this is Metricool. Metricool is my favorite scheduling platform. It's the platform I've used to schedule every post since I went on my honeymoon in 2022. And so yes, it is trusted. No, it will not hurt your views. It makes life so much easier. I schedule probably 95% of my posts through Metricool. And a few weeks ago, I was popping around on there. I was scheduling a reel, and I noticed that there was a new feature where it said trial reel. I could schedule this to be posted as a trial reel. Since then, I now schedule 5 trial reels per day. And just last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I put out an episode on how to create 150 trial reels in 15 minutes or less and then schedule them all in Metricool. So you can check out that. I don't want this entire episode to just be like, hey, go check out this other episode, but there's a lot of connecting pieces you might need. So anyways, you can schedule trial reels in Metricool. Speaking of Metricool, today's entire episode is brought to you by them. Like I said, it's the scheduling platform that I use. It is the scheduling platform that I recommend. And my favorite 2 things about Metricool is that number 1, it tells you your actual best time to post. If you listen to all of these different social media apps and these different studies that have come out, you'll be so confused because they all give you a different best time to post. In fact, according to HubSpot, the best time to post is 6 to 9 p.m. According to Sprout Social, it is 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. According to Hootsuite, it varies depending on the day of the week, which makes a little bit more sense. According to Buffer, it is 3 to 6 p.m. And according to Social Pilot, it is 6 to 8 a.m. So no, according to all of these different studies that have come out, there is no universal best time to post. But what a lot of us are then tempted to do is just stick with our Instagram insights. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your Instagram insights are kind of lying to you. They're telling you when people are most active, but that doesn't mean that people are most likely to engage or even most likely to engage with your posts. It just means out of all of your followers, the highest percentage of your followers are online at this time. What I love about Metricool is that it shows you actual engagement trends, and it shows you based off each day of the week, which hours are your followers more and less engaged with your content, which makes scheduling content for the future super helpful. And then my second favorite reason to use Metricool is that I can schedule content for the future. So if I make a reel today and it's an evergreen reel, like it didn't have to be posted today to make sense, well then I'll schedule it for, let's say today, and then I'll make a duplicate of that reel in Metricool and I'll schedule it again 4 or 5 months from now. So then 4 or 5 months from now, I already have at least 1 post scheduled. And then if I repeat this process, the next thing you know, you wake up and it's April 2026 and you already have 17 posts scheduled for the month without doing any work because they're just duplicates of posts from the past. It's basically my upcycling strategy. So again, I'm the biggest fan of Metricool out there. I believe that every single content creator should be using a scheduling platform, and I think Metricool should be that platform. So I will put the link to them down in the show notes below, but if you use code BROCK, B-R-O-C-K, at checkout, you can get Metricool Pro for a month for free. Instagram algorithm update number 6 is another new feature, and this one is called Early Access Reels. This is kind of a fun little trick, little gimmicky feature. It's not going to be revolutionary for Instagram, but basically Early Access Reels is a setting that you can turn on so that your Reels kind of premiere to your followers first. So most people, I think, aren't going to have significant success or any real difference made because of this feature, but the bigger your audience is, the more effective this tool is going to be. Another way to say this would be the more fans or super fans you have, the more use you're going to get out of this feature. But again, when you turn it on, basically your reel will be kind of like visible to non-followers, but it will be blurred out and it will say that this is an early access reel that is only available to followers. So if someone doesn't follow you, but they see this reel pop up, they might be like, oh, what is that? That's really interesting. I want to see this person's reel. I want to get early access to this. And so it might increase the likelihood that they follow you. Instagram algorithm update number 7 is a flippin' game changer. And like, I don't even know what to make of this. This is going to be so massive. And no, it's not 2017. Instagram for TV. Some of you might remember a decade ago when Instagram came out with IGTV. It was its own separate app, and then it was integrated back into Instagram, and it was like long form video. And it was actually mostly horizontal video, but they eventually scrapped the program and not enough people were using it, so they got rid of it. But now IGTV is making a comeback, but it's going to be different. Instagram has partnered with Amazon Fire TV to basically put Reels on the big screen. Now, they said that over the coming months and in the future, they're going to continue to roll this out. They're going to put it on more streaming platforms, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that they're probably going to show favoritism towards horizontal Reels, because I don't know if you've ever watched a vertical video on your TV. It's just a little clunky, but they're not only going to prioritize horizontal reels, they're also going to begin prioritizing long form reels. So I don't want you to take this out of context. I am not saying that you need to start posting 19-minute long reels on your Instagram, but I do want this to be on your radar, because pretty soon it would not shock or surprise me if Instagram broadens the reach, broadens the length of Instagram reels, if they start encouraging us to post horizontal reels, or if there's a new setting, a new way that you can post reels that are meant to be watched on the TV. Basically, Instagram has more or less succeeded in their competition against TikTok. I'm not saying that TikTok's dead. I love TikTok. I'm still using TikTok all the time. But Instagram basically achieved its goals with TikTok. TikTok in the US was sold. 80% of the app is now owned by US companies. So more or less, Meta won its lobbying and its campaign against TikTok. And so now they're shifting their focus to the other really big competitor when it comes to social media video, which is YouTube. And so that's why Instagram for TV is here. That's why it's probably not going anywhere anytime soon. And it's something that I want to be on your radar. Instagram update number 8 is going to be revolutionary for Instagram stories. And that's because since the dawn of Instagram stories, they have not been a way to grow your following. Instagram stories pretty much only reach your existing followers. Sure, someone who is a non-follower could go view your stories. Sure, if you used like a location tag or a hashtag in the past, both of which no longer apply to stories, you could get a little bit of reach to outside followers, but 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, your story viewers were your existing followers. And so then it makes sense that if only your existing followers are viewing your stories, you can't grow your following with stories. But the new Instagram feature is you can now reshare anyone else's public story to your own. What that means is if you go on Instagram right now, which you can try this out if you want, go to my Instagram, and hopefully I have a story posted at the time that you're watching this. If I do, tap on that little share button in the bottom right corner, and then you can share my story to your own. Or to say it another way, you could repost my story onto your own story. Now, this doesn't give you credit. It shows up as if it was my story. If you're familiar with how over the last few years, if someone else tagged you in their story and then you reshared it, it's the same thing. So it shows up as if they posted it. It shows up as if they are the content creator, but it's on your story, so then your followers could see it. And so that's why now, for the first time ever, stories can actually be a way to grow. They can actually be a way to reach new people. If you create a share-worthy story, it could potentially get a bunch of shares, which would help you get a bunch of views, which could potentially help you get a bunch of new followers. It's kind of like a brand new way to reach people. And I think that most people, 99.9% of creators, are not going to take advantage of this in 2026. But if you can learn to create share-worthy stories, you're going to find a real gold mine, because there's not very much competition, but there is a huge upside. Instagram algorithm update number 9 is the reason that many of us might have experienced our views dropping since early December. And that is that they changed the way views are counted. And the way they've changed it actually makes a lot more sense now. Kind of makes me ask the question, why did they have it set up anyway differently originally? But basically, the original way that views were counted was if your post was on someone else's explore page, or if someone else viewed your profile, the view would count even if they didn't tap on your specific post. So if I pulled up my explore page and there's, a dozen different videos and carousels and posts on that page, even if I don't click on any of them, all of those posts now are technically getting one additional view from me. If you clicked on my profile and you scrolled down on my profile because you were looking for one specific post that I made that you thought was super funny and you wanted to show it to your friend, theoretically, all of those posts that you scrolled by were getting additional views just by scrolling by them. That doesn't really make much sense. But basically, a lot of people were getting artificially inflated view counts from Explore and Profile. So now Instagram has changed that. They've rectified it so that it only counts as a view if someone actually taps on the post. So again, if you have seen a decrease in views over the last few months, that might be one of the reasons why. Update number 9, and I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record today. I'm really not trying to be sensationalized. I even didn't think that I needed to make a new video about Instagram algorithm updates, but then I started going through the list and I'm like, holy crap, I haven't talked about that. Holy crap, that one was massive and I haven't talked about that. Like I've posted about them on my Instagram, which if you haven't already, I highly encourage you to follow me there because I post about these updates like when the news drops, but I haven't posted a full YouTube breaking down all of this recent news. So update number 9 is also massive. And it is that hashtags have now been cut from 30 to 5. You used to, since the dawn of Instagram, be able to use up to 30 hashtags in your caption. But now, as of January 2026, you are limited to only 5 hashtags in your caption. I think that this signals the broader shift that has been going on at Instagram for the last 4 or 5 years that is phasing out hashtags. I highly doubt hashtags will ever be completely removed from the platform because then the angry mob with pitchforks would definitely show up at Adam Mosseri's front door like, give me my hashtags. But I do think the relevance, the importance, the effectiveness of hashtags is going to continue to be lessened and lessened and lessened over time. Now we can only use a maximum of 5 hashtags in our posts, in our captions. If you're a new listener to the show, then you might be surprised to hear what I'm about to say, but forget about hashtags. They're just not a reliable or effective way to grow on Instagram anymore. They're not that important. So if you want to use 5, go for it. But honestly, I wouldn't stress out that much. Also, by the way, if you are a new listener, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button because we're super close to 100K. And in fact, at the time that I'm posting this, we might be there. I'm not sure. We're getting really close. Speaking of, in one of my recent episodes, I promised that I would pick 3 people who commented on that video to receive a free one-on-one coaching call with me once we hit 100K. So number 1, make sure that you're subscribed if you're not already. And number 2, go back to this video. We'll put the image of it on the screen. Go back to that video and leave a comment and or a thumbs up, and I'll randomly pick 3 people to win that one-on-one call. The 10th and final Instagram algorithm update is that you now have your own customizable algorithm. Yes, that's right. Instagram is calling it your algorithm, and they have now rolled out this feature worldwide. Essentially, all you have to do to access this is view the Instagram Reels page, the basically Reels Explorer page. Tap on those 3 dots or 3 bars or the gear icon. It looks different for different profiles. Click on it in the upper right-hand corner, and then you'll see what your algorithm currently is. Now, this does not impact who sees your posts. This does not impact your growth. This is only for you as the consumer. This is going to give you a short little sentence describing what sorts of content you're into, and you can then add other things that you might be interested in that you want to see more of to the list, or add certain terms, topics, and phrases that you want to see less of to the don't show me section. Now, like I said, adjusting your algorithm isn't going to change how your posts show up or are distributed, but if your followers are adding topics related to your account to their algorithm, well, then your post will be more likely to show up on their Reels page. So overall, I don't think that this feature is going to be super widely adopted because it's just a few extra steps, right? And most people are just going to be mindlessly scrolling. They're not going to be that intentional with curating what they are consuming. But I do believe there might be a small subset of the population who does use this your algorithm feature. And so it's just something that I want you to be aware of. And if it's something that you want to encourage your followers to add your topic to their algorithm, that might be something that you might want to do. But again, generally something that I don't think is going to make the biggest difference, but something you should be aware of. Thank you so much for watching today. I know Instagram is a slog. I know that there are always constant updates and changes, and this was just the 10 that I think are going to make the biggest difference for you. There's probably 30 other ones that I could have listed that aren't going to make a difference, but are probably going to take up space in your brain because some social media expert is going to be like, you need to care about this. I don't think so. If I haven't reported on it, if I haven't told you about it, then chances are that it's probably not something you need to worry about. Speaking of, I do send out an email every single Tuesday that includes a what's hot this week or what new features do you need to know this week. So if you want to make sure that you get that email for free directly to your inbox, just click on the link in the show notes below. But it's instaclubhub.com/newsletter. Again, totally free. I send it out every Tuesday morning, and it includes an update with the latest features that you need to be aware of and how to use them. But again, thank you so much for watching today, and as always, happy networking.